Hello there everyone. So today I'm going to be going through the top 3 strongest dragons in DML. And this is based off of the dragon's base attack stat, since legendaries and divines are the only dragons that really have attack stats high enough to even get on this list. But there are 3 dragons that are higher than anything else in the game. And so the number 1 position, as I'm sure a lot of you know, does go to the Zeus dragon. And his base stat is 82 attack with the light and energy elements. So it's definitely possible to have a dragon that does have more attack than the Zeus does, but that dragon isn't currently available in game. And of course the way to get the Zeus was out of those divine chests that were part of the divine event not too long ago, but he is no longer available to get in game. So if you didn't manage to get him back then, unfortunately, there isn't really a chance for you to get him. But then the second strongest dragon in the game goes to none other than the Sumo dragon. So the Sumo is a legendary Shadow and Light dragon. So he's definitely very strong, and Shadow and Light are super good elements to have on a dragon. But he is 1 base attack stat lower than the Zeus, sitting at 81 as his base stat. But you can get him by getting to 2,000 points in the Enchanted Arena. So if you see, and look, you have to get to League 7 in order to unlock him. So he's a dragon that you can realistically only get with like a level 70 plus dragon on your team. So he is very difficult to get, but definitely worth it for anyone that does go out of their way to try and get this dragon. And then the third strongest dragon in the game is actually the Plushie dragon, which is the easiest out of the 3 to get a hold of. So the Plushie has the Shadow, Fire, and Legendary elements, and has the same base attack stat as the Sumo dragon at 81. And he's a creepy looking dragon, I have to say, but luckily to get the Plushie, it's still kind of difficult, but a lot easier than it is for the other 2. Because he's an enchantment breedable dragon, so he's just one of the legendaries that you get to breed in the enchanted breeding den, basically. So his chances to be bred are like 1%, if that, so his combo is super hard. But at the same time, he is readily available in the game, and you don't need level 70 dragons or anything crazy like that to be able to get him. So he's the easiest out of the 3 to get, and he is technically tied for 2nd place, but I feel like the Sumo dragon with his light element just puts him a little bit higher on the priority list, really. But those are the 3 strongest dragons in DML. So people ask me this quite a lot, really, which is the only reason I wanted to go through it, but again, those 3 are extremely strong dragons, and like I said, that's not to say that they will always be the strongest dragons in the game. Not at all. Because if we ever get a Divine Shadow and Fire Dragon, which is basically just a better version of the Plushie, he will have higher base damage than the Plushie does. So, I know a lot of people always say to me, but my Leaf Dragon's so strong, Quacks. How can you say that they're the strongest? You know, the Leaf Dragon has like, what, 50 base damage? Something retarded like that? And when you're looking at base damage stats, it's getting times by hundreds of thousands of points, all the way up to in the millions when you like calculate all the damage numbers and that at a high level. So if you think, oh well, 1 or 2 base damage, that's not really any different, that's not really a lot, it is. And that's why in the arena, you'll see so many people have the Zeus, so many people have the Sumo, so many people have those dragons because they know how strong they are. And this is what I always say to people. It's not a small difference. It is a huge, huge difference between a base stat 70 and a base stat 80 dragon. By far. It is a huge difference. So, those are the top 3 dragons in the game currently, and there are a lot of dragons with base stats of 80, like the Pixel, the Vortex, the Apocalypse, and the Bone Dragon. They're all good contenders for, like, air quote, strongest dragon in the game, but no other dragons live up to that 81 and above base stat that those 3 that I mentioned do. So that is why they get on the top 3 list. I did do a top 5 strongest legendaries not about a year ago or something like that, but obviously with the Zeus now being available, that's a little bit behind on the times. But regardless of that, you know, there are some very good dragons that you can use. And again, the Vortex Dragon, where is my Vortex Dragon actually? Here he is. Again, another base stat of 80 dragon. Super, super strong. It's just he has the Void element, which I'm not a massive fan of. But he's a basic legendary. You can breed him at any level. So if you want a super strong dragon, you can breed him. Another pretty good dragon is the Pixie Dragon as well. The base stat isn't super high on this dragon, but again, it's a pretty good dragon for new players to be able to use. And then the Briar Dragon is a really strong enchantment breedable as well, but instead of him, I'd rather just use the Plushie, because again, the Plushie is kind of insane. But there are so many options for dragons that you can use if you don't want to have to wait for a specific Dragon of the Month. And you know, I always recommend using a full attack damage heavy team comp. I don't see the reason to use a defensive one. So, and the highest defensive dragon in the game is the Ares dragon, which is the divine that's in the shop for 6,000 gems or so. So that dragon is super expensive. But the plushie you can get for free just by breeding in the enchantment breeding den. So you can definitely get a very, very strong dragon without having to spend any money in the game. But I just wanted to start the video off with that while we do a couple of our clan quests here. And I have to say, trying out the new system for the towers is actually really interesting. How it gives the percentage to do a critical attack, which is the difference between doing 100 damage and doing like 1,000 and something damage. I actually really like it. And I guess it's kind of the same as missing if you just get a regular attack, because you do like no damage to the tower, but it feels a lot more rewarding, because no matter what, you're always at least doing some damage to the tower rather than no damage. So it's definitely a feel-good change for the clan event, and again, we'll be able to get the reward just for beating the enemy clan as well, which is going to be super nice, because it is quite difficult taking down every single tower and then defeating the clan dragon in the center as well. And you can see we are way ahead of our enemy clan here. They have 10,000 points, we have 80,000. And for the first prize, it says we have to reach a score of 160,000 minimum to qualify for the grand prize. And the grand prize, I believe, is the Clan Dragon card pack. So hopefully we'll get some pieces for Boone and Cutter when we get to the higher leagues. And we'll finish off Brimstone, hopefully, as well. But this tower here is super, super low. Like, super interesting how this works out. And, you know, at the same time, these clan quests aren't difficult to do. And even though it takes 3 hours for the sprites to come back, I think it's a feel-good change as well. Because every 30 minutes, you know, that makes people think that they have to come back to the game every 30 minutes, which kind of makes some people panic for some reason. I don't know why. People are just like that. But let's put in our spring cherries here, and we'll clear out the final decoration on these islands up here. We'll upgrade our fire habitat. Thank goodness we have some extra space now. Oh god, I was waiting for that for so long, but you know, we do have Kronos that we can use as well. I guess I'll use him at a little bit of a later point, but all the Halloween stuff is over now. We do have a tree to dragon here. I'm actually gonna hatch him, there you go. You know, it's unfortunate, but there's our third sold tree to dragon in like a couple of days. That feels bad. But for now, you know, good luck with all your clan stuff. And if you are planning on building a team, like I said, try and pick the highest attack damage dragons you can. And, you know, if you don't really want to plan like 2 years in advance of having the Sumo, just use the regular breedable ones like the Vortex and Pixie and stuff like that I mentioned before. But you should plan around getting something like the Plushie eventually, because he's super duper good in a team. Like, he's probably better than a Lantern Dragon would be to use on the team, honestly. But I don't know, I'm kind of enjoying the light at the same time every now and then because what's weak to fire or strong against fire seems to be weak to light, so they sort of counteract each other and do the same thing, but they have different strengths and weaknesses, which is pretty good. But anyway, for now, I am gonna leave you guys there. So, let's hope that maybe one day they re-release the Zeus Dragon and all the Divines, and maybe eventually one day the Apollo Dragon will become available in-game as well. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, I will see you then.